Latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and we've got a lot to talk about this morning. Some updates from the Don, Fabrizio Romano, around Jack Grealish. Not Jack Grealish, actually. Sancho and Alexis Sanchez. We'll start off with that. And also developments around Jack Grealish, Nathan Ake, and a few other things as well. So lots to talk about this morning. And obviously the transfer window is open. I felt this morning that I was missing football, even though we had that 6-week blast, and we have got football back next week with the Europa League for Manchester United, and it's not that long until the Premier League starts again, but I do feel I'm missing it. So it's great that the transfer window is actually open. We've also got the Hotometer back. That's got to be deserving of a like as well. So I'll be going through the Hotometer in a moment or two. If anybody doesn't know how the Hotometer works, it's basically my ranking of what transfers I think are most likely to happen. So we'll talk about that in a moment. So yeah, hit a like for that if you enjoy that. But let's start off with Romano, one of the most credible voices when it comes to transfer news, and Fabrizio has basically said that there was no bid from Manchester United for Jadon Sancho yesterday. We're just going to have to be patient now with Manchester United, but definitely keep your eye on the deal. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Obviously, he's been on the show. He's fantastic when it comes to transfer news, and just giving a little bit of clarity on what we were trying to get across yesterday, that these discussions between Manchester United and Dortmund have started. People just want to clarify what discussions are, and they want to turn discussions into a bid. That's not how it works in the transfer business. These discussions will be very early stages, but they will be taking place between Manchester United and Dortmund because there isn't a lot of time. But an official bid hasn't gone in yet, which is what we know. I know this has got nothing to do with United, but did you ever think the Europa League is like I don't know, you and Black, I don't know what you're on about there, taking us way off. And also, he said that Alexis Sanchez, Inter Milan want to sign him on a permanent deal. Now, this to me is probably not going to get the headlines, but this to me is very, very significant because it comes from Fabrizio Romano, who we know is based in Italy, who we know not just in Italy but all around Europe is a very, very, very credible outlet when it comes to transfer news. Now, they aim to be saying that Inter Milan want to sign Alexis Sanchez on a permanent deal. Manchester United have got to get this deal done. I know it's not Sancho, I know it's not Grealish, I know it's not a centre-back, and I know those things are very important, but I cannot overemphasise enough. If we get Alexis Sanchez out of Manchester United, that to me would be one of our best deals we've done in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign. And I know Ed Woodward caused it, and I know Ed Woodward's and his mates with Mourinho, presided over what is one of the worst deals in Premier League transfer history. But if we can remove him from Manchester United, it will be a massive weight off Ole's mind, off the club's mind, off the fans' mind, because he's on silly money. He is the best player he's the best paid player Manchester United have ever had in their history. Alexis Sanchez is the best paid player we've had in our history. Around £400,000 a week. He's still got 2 or 3 years left on his contract. If we remove that from our club, the financial obligation is gone, and the fact that he's a Manchester United player is gone. So let's hope we can do something with Inter Milan, and Fabrizio Romano is saying yes, that he wants to do that. James Cooper has said Man United are looking at Kingsley Coman as a short-term option and going back for Sancho next summer when prices are better, says Sean Turner. I don't. No, I don't. We're not having that at all. We're not having that story. I don't care what James Cooper says, what Sky Sports say, what Manchester United are leaking out there. I'm more interested in what Christian Falk said, because Christian Falk has just released a book on Bayern Munich, and he says there's no chance that Manchester United will get Kingsley Coman. So, end of story. Manchester United can look at anything. I'm sure some of you lads wake up in the morning thinking you'd like take a good look at Ariana Grande and marry her. She's not going to marry you though, is she? It's not going to happen. So this is not going to happen. And I'll tell you this for free about Jadon Sancho as well. I will tell you this for free. Well, actually all our content is free, but I'll tell you this for free as well. Jadon Sancho is the deal that Manchester United need to do. Do not let your minds be infected by Manchester United trying to potentially save money, because that's all that would be. I believe United are going to sign Sancho. I believe United are playing games to try and get the Sancho deal down. And I don't think United are trying to save money. But if they didn't sign Sancho, or they tried to wait for a year, they won't get Sancho in a year. We've got a free pass. Why do you think Werner's training with Chelsea? Why do you think Havertz going to Chelsea? They never would have got Werner and Havertz if we hadn't had coronavirus, right? Real Madrid, Liverpool, Barcelona, the big hitters would have money to spend. They haven't got money because of the coronavirus thing, and Chelsea had money from last summer. that they couldn't spend. So Chelsea have benefited from this. Manchester United are in the same situation. They're the only club really that can buy Jadon Sancho this summer. Next summer, Real Madrid will be back at the party, Barcelona, maybe Liverpool. We can't wait a year. Don't fall into the trap of waiting for a year. Do you think there is any truth from Athletic's story about United getting Michael Zorg as a director of football, says Jarrett Edwards? Look, that would be fantastic if we were getting Michael Zorg, because he's Dortmund, isn't he? And they've done a great job there, but I doubt there's anything in it. I'd love to see Manchester United getting a fantastic director of football, but I don't see it. We'll come back to that in a moment, though. Let's talk about Jack Grealish, because this story is developing quite a lot. The most interesting thing I want to talk about this morning was in The Independent, saying that if Jack Grealish came to Manchester United, he would have to accept a reduced role. What is a reduced role? Well, a reduced role means that he would not be a starter in that team. That doesn't mean that Jack Grealish shouldn't be hungry for a move to Manchester United. If I was Jack Grealish, I would be like, look, I'm a big fish in a small pond. I've been a big part of keeping Aston Villa up against the odds. Can I do it? What's going to happen next year? Are Villa going to be any better next year than they are this year? As much as he loves them, I think he's got to build his career. He's 25 now, so 24 or 25, I think. So yeah, Jack Grealish moving. But if he wants to, if he thinks he's a top 4 player, and to be honest with you, I think that's what the assumption is. He's not going to walk into any top 4 team, whether it's Man City, Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea. He doesn't walk into those teams. He's going straight on the bench. What Jack Grealish has got to realise is that you're going straight on the bench, Jack, but can you force your way into the first team? And that's what Jack Grealish has got to do. And if he's strong mentally and he believes in himself, that's what he will do. But then the problem is, do you pay £70 million for a player who's going to go on the bench? And this is the thing with James Maddison as well. Remember, we were in for James Maddison. Well, that was ahead of, United will, as amazing as this sounds now, Manchester United were thinking about James Maddison before Bruno Fernandes, and then they got priced out of it. So the reality is Man United didn't go for Bruno in the end because they bottled it on the price last summer. And then they were thinking Maddison and then the price, so they went back in for Bruno. So reality is Jack Grealish at 70 million a player that you invest in, and what is the end game? Because if he forces his way into the team, he's forcing out Bruno or Pogba. It's an odd one for United, and I think Villa might be pricing Grealish out of his dream move here, because where is Jack Grealish going to go? Nobody can afford £70 million other than a top 4 club, and he's not going to go straight into a top 4 club. So is a top 4 club, i.e. Manchester United, going to spend £70 million on Jack Grealish when they know he's going in on the bench, and therefore he's a risk? Because what do you need Jack Grealish to force Bruno out the team? No, you don't. Do you need him to force Pogba out the team? No, you don't. You just want him to be a very good player on the bench to use in the squad. And do you spend 70 million quid on that when you could spend 40 million on Van der Beek? So it's an interesting one as how it's going to work out with Jack Grealish. The thing is, though, as we move over to the Hotometer, if you don't know what the Hotometer is, basically it's the Goldbridge Hotometer. Every player who I think are the top 7, well, they're not the top 7 really, but a lot of them are. I've got 7 players there, and I'm ranking them out of 10 on how likely they think the transfer will be. So if I say 8 out of 10, that's 80% chance of it happening. So, as you can see, with Jack Grealish, I've currently got him at 6, a 60% chance of signing. That's a little bit higher, because a 50-50 chance of signing is 50-50, isn't it? You toss a coin, it could be heads, it could be tails. So I'm a little bit above that, and the reason I'm a little bit above that is because it's very obvious that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Jack Grealish at Manchester United. Is this now a different type of test of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial ability? Because, and hold on for this, we as Man United fans, the number one thing we want is our managers to be backed. We've seen that they've not actually been backed. Even Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't backed by the Glazers, really. There was times he wanted players and they didn't deliver. So it's always been a problem with the United board as to whether they back the manager. Well, we might have a scenario here where the board do back the manager, but should Ole do this deal? And I throw this to you. It's a rhetorical question, because is this now going to be a test of Ole's business acumen and future planning as a Manchester United manager? Because I still think Ole's inexperienced. I still think he's learning on the job, and I think that's fine. That is absolutely fine. But should he spend 60, 70, 80 million, whatever it is that Villa want, for Jack Grealish, when he's going to be a bench player, when that money could be used far... I mean, look, imagine you pay 65 million for Jack Grealish, right? I'll guarantee you now, that 65... And Jack Grealish will go on the bench, don't care what anybody says. I'll guarantee you now, that 65 million you've spent on Grealish you could spend 40 on Van der Beek and 25 on Nathan Ake. Now, you've got a centre-back and a midfielder, and arguably, those two players give you way more than Grealish could ever do, because Van der Beek can do what Grealish does, and you've got a centre-back. So that's the thing, isn't it? Grealish, I like. He's a very good player. Do I think Man United should be spending big money on a player that ultimately will not be a starter when you could get two players in positions we need them? And that's the question, isn't it? I think United will go for Grealish because they'll back Ollie and Ollie wants him. But is it the right signing at the right time? Because like ships in the night, things can pass each other and they don't see each other. And maybe Grealish is that player that would be good for us, but maybe it's not the right time. I don't know. Sean Turner says Grealish should look at it as well. He will start some Premier League games and Champions League games because we'll need to rotate. Then it's up to him to take the chance. Look, Sean, I'm a big fan of Jack Grealish. I just don't know whether it's the right signing at the right price. Shadashan says, I've been following you since March. Everyday routine now. I skip only watch-alongs. Prefer watching game with my own thoughts. Your thoughts. Good job, mate. Thank you very much. And what age is Samaria? And also, what do you make of Odsonne Edouard from Celtic as a replacement for Ighalo? It's interesting, Ewan. I mean, there's talk of Manchester United being in for a striker, but as you can see, I haven't put a striker on the hotometer because I don't think United are going to sign a striker. What you got to remember about Manchester United is that it was in the shareholders meeting in January. They will talk to their shareholders about social media interactions. They mentioned in their shareholders meeting how much social interaction they had in January, and a lot of that is to do with transfer news. They know this, so it's never a bad thing for Manchester United to let stories land about players. Was it Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic said a couple of days ago United want a striker? I've not really mentioned it. I don't believe that story. I don't believe United are signing a striker. So you can believe what you like. That's the whole point of the channel, really. But I can only be honest in my opinion. I haven't mentioned that story up until now because I don't believe we're in for a striker. Because why are we in for a striker? You know, Timo Werner was available for 50 million. As Christian Falk said, you were in the race, but you stopped running. So why would you not sign Timo Werner for £50 million? And then why would you go and spend 30, 40 on a Edouard or a Moussa Dembele? It doesn't make sense. I don't think we're going to sign a striker. That's my opinion on it. So looking at the hotometer, Sancho is 9 out of 10. 90% chance of that happening. Pretty much nailed on. In my opinion at the moment. Grealish would be second with a 6 out of 10. And then I've put Van der Beek and Nathan Ake at 5 out of 10. 50-50 chance. I've never really believed the Van der Beek rumours, but what I do know is that Ajax are ready to sell Van der Beek for 40 million, and I don't think there's many people out there who want to do that deal. He's a bargain at that price. So, you know, it's about United's interest. I don't believe United are actually interested for Van der Beek, but I've put him in there. Nathan Ake, a little bit this morning. That United have made inquiries for him. This is on Twitter, but you know, it doesn't mean that it's not true. And obviously, Man City are a bit interested in Nathan Ake. Look, I'm going to stand by what I said. I don't really think United should be going for relegated players. It just, you know, I think it's the Josh King that scares me, another Bournemouth player, who I haven't put on the hotometer because I don't, even though I think we might buy him, I don't want us to buy him. And then you've got Koulibaly at 2, Samari at 2, and Gareth Bale just for the laugh at 1. I think you can look at that hotometer and realise that I'm very much of the opinion that we're only going to sign 2, maybe 3 players. I expect them to be on that hotometer. I do. I think that the players that we're going to sign are going to be on there. I'd love there not to be that, because there's nothing that excites me more than a player that you just buy that, you know, no one's ever heard of, because it shows quality scouting. But I don't think United do that sort of thing. I've not put Declan Rice on there because I think there's 0 chance of it happening, and we'll just have to see how that develops out. But on Nathan Ake, look, you know, as we were talking about last night with Ricky, Adam and Saeed, I think United desperately do need a centre-back, and you cannot. There's no point in having the sentence that Twansebi could be that person. He's been out for a year. When somebody's been out for a year and their injury is dubious at best, I mean, look, he's definitely injured, but what is the injury? We've had very few updates over the last year. That worries me. Not in the sense that he's done anything wrong, more in the sense that this injury is a major concern that the club don't really want people to know about, because it makes no sense. We've had very little updates on Axel Twansebi for a very long time. And how can you trust the player who's in his early 20s, who's missed a whole year of his career? That's a lot. He's probably just missed 10% of his football career. when you lose a year, that's about it. Most footballers 10 years at the top, and he's lost 10% of his career, and at a time where he's building his career. So I think Tuan Sebe at the moment, let's hope he becomes a good player, but that's a big question mark. Phil Jones ain't never going to be a good player. Eric Bay's never going to be reliable, and Smalling, Lindelof and Maguire, as we know, that I don't feel that partnership works. So we'll have to see how that works out. Welcome to Sudashan, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I don't think the price matters. Just say Pogba or Bruno get injured for a long period, then Grealish just steps up. We need quality and depth. Well, Sean, I get what you're saying, Sean, but I also would say, of course, the price matters. How long have you supported Manchester United? Price doesn't matter is something that's not associated with this club since the Glazers came in. Just look at the history. We're not a club where price doesn't matter. Price always matters. So you can't say, oh, let's just get Sancho for 80 million and let's get Grealish for 70. That's just not going to happen. Price is a very important factor, sadly, when you're talking about transfers with Manchester United, and you need to be accustomed to that, and I think most fans are. I seriously worry if Man United don't try to exploit leagues that didn't return to competitive football, that will need the money like France. We need too much players. Good point, says Danny Bean. I'd like to see us exploiting the transfer market like Chelsea have, but I don't think we will. Shouldn't Malguez be on the list too, says Sartak. Not for me, no. And somebody just said, you turn me on. God, people are delusional in the morning. And price wouldn't matter in a normal market, but not in this one, says Jesse. I don't know what that's meant to mean. Just on Chris Smalling, there was also a story on Smalling that I think it was in the Independent as well. That with Chris Smalling, the door has been well and truly closed on a return to Manchester United. Now, I read that, and I'm sure many of you read that in the way that sounds really harsh on Chris Smalling. Like, what has Chris Smalling ever done? I mean, Chris Smalling comes across as a really nice guy. He's always been a very hard-working, honest sort of footballer as well. Why would a door be well and truly closed on Chris Smalling coming back to Manchester United? Or is it him who's closing the door on a return to Manchester United? Which I sort of get, because I think Smalling has shown a real maturity, ambition. Be more like Chris Smalling is what I would say to the Man United fringe players, because I respect Smalling. I'm pretty sure that Ollie would have said, you can stay at the club for this season, but you're not going to be first choice. And he would have still played a lot of games, I think. But he obviously said, no, I want to move. And he's gone to Rome in Italy. And he's been one of the best defenders in Italy this season. And he's rebuilt his career, Chris Smalling. So I've got a lot of respect for Chris Smalling. And you look at some of the players we've got in this club. And look, I can name names. Pereira, Mata, Lingard, Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo. I mean, I know Marcus Rojo went on loan, but he went back home on loan, didn't he? I mean, that's hard, isn't it? I think there's a number of players in that United peripheral squad who should be more like Chris Smalling and have a bit of pride in their career. Because you're nowhere near the first team, and you only get game time because the squad's not good enough. So I think these players need to look at what Smalling's done and go and build their careers. You're very talented people. You're in a position that many people would love to be in, and in 5 years' time, your career will be over. So grab it, get out there and play some football. Get out and play ball. I hope Newcastle take over and the owners splash 40 million on Jones, says Alec Williams. Rojo, Smalling, Jones, Sanchez, Mata, Lingard, Pereira out equals 70 million plus 120 million equals 190 million. Sancho, Van der Beek, and Koulibaly, says Kishelay. I'll give you the job as director of football. Is there an update on appointing a director of football? Says Ria West. Yeah, we've just appointed Kisely there. And Jarrett Edwards says, asked this last night. Should Mengi be given a chance in Europa to prove he is eligible to play? I would do that, Jarrett. I would do that. I think. Look, if there is a player in the youth setup that can come into the team, then that's great. I mean, Adel's just said, which centre-back would you buy? And to be honest with you, I don't really have a definitive answer to that. I don't think it's easy to go and buy the right sort of centre-back. We need someone with a bit of pace, who's consistent. And if that can come from the youth setup, then you've just saved yourself a lot of money. But look, it's a big ask. But who is there out there? I mean, the fact that we're talking about people like Nathan Aki shows you that there isn't really a lot of quality for the right price. I mean, Koulibaly's ideal. I'm not going to dismiss what people like about Koulibaly, but the price is ridiculous. Is it realistic? Is this realistically a title-winning squad, says Billy C. Starting 11, Rashford, Martial, Sancho, Bruno, Pogba, Partey, Shaw, Maguire, Sarr, Wan-Bissaka and Henderson. No, I don't think that's a title-winning side. I don't think it is. It just doesn't look like a title-winning side to me. I might be wrong, but yeah, I look at Henderson. I mean, I think a lot of people are hyping Henderson. I know he's done well at Sheffield United, but this is Manchester United. I wouldn't put all my eggs in the Henderson basket. The centre-back, I don't really know much about him. Partey is not a holding midfielder as far as I'm concerned either. So, and look, Rashford needs to do a lot better as well. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a title-winning side. I don't think we're ready for that yet. Should Henderson be were to create funds sold to create players money for more players, says Ricardo Torres. I'd like to see him going out on loan, Dean Henderson. Really, I don't necessarily think that. Well, I certainly don't think that we should be keeping De Gea and Henderson at the club next season. I think one of them needs to go on loan. But just talking about price matters. The interesting thing is that with, Jack Grealish's price is a talking point at the moment. I think if Villa got relegated, and I thought Villa would get relegated, 50 million quid, and you go, look, Jack Grealish for 50 million, very, very good deal. They've stayed up. They are going to add 10, 15, 20 million on that. Jack Grealish for 65 million, 60 million, to me, it becomes, I don't know. Because I tell you now, Van der Beek is there for 40 million. If we were interested in Thomas Partey, 43 million. There's who's a better player, Jack Grealish, Thomas Partey? Jack Grealish, Van der Beek. There is a debate to be had there, but Grealish is not 25 million pounds better than those two players. And that's the thing, you're paying a premium for a player that's never played in the Champions League. I don't think he's ever played in Europe. I don't think he's even played for England yet. So you're paying £65 million for a player who's done well in a relegation side. And he's definitely got the capability to go to the next level. But we're massively overpaying. And also, look, this has been a regular thing. Are we not, again, being Brexit FC when there's better talent out there? Have we not learned from the Bruno Fernandes thing? And I by no means do I not want us to sign Jack Grealish. I think he's a good player. But I just worry, when price does matter at this football club, that we might go and spend 65 million, 70 million pounds on Jack Grealish when Van der Beek's there for 40 million and Real Madrid wanted him but they can't afford him. When Thomas Partey has ripped the Champions League up and is available for 43 million quid, and United are going to focus on another Harry Maguire type signing where they're massively overpriced because they're English and that's what you've got to pay to get them. But look at what we just did with Bruno. 47 million pounds for Bruno. United need to learn from that for me. They need to trust their European scouting better because we are the most money-centric football club in the Premier League. They love to not spend money. So why are we not focusing our shift to Europe, where we've already proven that there are players there, and Man City have done it and Liverpool have done it. There are players there in Europe that are far cheaper. I mean, imagine if Firmino was English, or Salah was English, or Mane was English. How much they'd have to pay for those players. Partey, Van der Beek, around 40 million quid. Jack Grealish, Declan Rice, around 70 million quid. I mean, come on. You're nearly doubling the price of better players. And that's where United should be looking. And their biggest lesson is the lesson we were screaming on this channel as a community a year ago. Get Bruno Fernandes. He's cheaper than these overpriced players that you want from the Premier League, and he's better. £47 million we spent on Bruno. And yeah, it's going to go up to about 60. But by the time it's gone up to 60, he's going to be worth over 100. I mean, look, Bruno Fernandes already is probably worth 90 million quid. We've doubled his price in 6 months because he's done it in the best league in the world and he's up there with De Bruyne. So, and I'm not saying he's better than De Bruyne, but if he keeps this going, his stats are up there with De Bruyne, and that's what matters. So we do need to look abroad a lot more, I think. Bench options: Greenwood rotate with right wing, James rotate with left wing or right wing, Williams is right back. Okay, Billy C, yeah, I like your bench. And if we sign Koulibaly, it will give a chance for Axel to recover and prove himself, or some other youth player. We should also sell Van der Beek over Jack, says Rudy Cox. And look, I do think Pogba will sign a new contract. What do I think's going to happen? I think we'll end up going. I do at this moment in time, and I've not been told this. I think we'll sign Sancho and I think we'll sign Grealish, and I think we'll do a Harry Maguire with Jack Grealish. I think we'll spend a lot of money on him. I think we'll spend a lot of time next season with fans going, ha, you paid this money for that player. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Harry Maguire's been a good signing. We did have to pay a lot of money for him. But I do feel that the club are it's clearly a tactic of Ollie and the coaching staff to get British players in. That's clearly what they're trying to do. But I it's only dropped into my head while we're doing the show. I personally think when you look at it, do I want Grealish for 65 or do I want Van der Beek and Van der Beek for 65? Two Van der Beeks, Van der Beek and Aki for 65. I'm not a big fan of getting a relegated player, but if the club go for him, I'm going to back him. I think he's a decent player. I wonder whether he's a top 4 player. Pep obviously thinks he is. Yeah, that to me, Grealish for 65 or Van der Beek and Aki for 65. I'm going to take Van der Beek and Aki because it solves 2 big problems at Manchester United. And there's no guarantee that any of them aren't going to flop. Agreed with your point on Grealish, but if Grealish is not willing to be on the bench, will Van der Beek or Partey come to sit on the bench? They can't replace Pogba. I mean, Anna makes a good point there, but if you actually listen to my point, then what I said was Jack Grealish has got to come to Manchester United knowing he's going to start on the bench. Van der Beek has got to come to United knowing he's going to start on the bench. Partey's got to come to Manchester United knowing he's going to start on the bench. What you do in the next month, 6 months, year after that is down to you. If you think I'm not going to go because I'm just going to be sat on the bench for the next year, well, that you've not got the right mentality. If you come and know you're going to start on the bench, but you're going to work your way into the team within a month, then that's the mentality you want. That's what I'm on about. These players effectively are coming in to be bench players. What they do with that opportunity and what their mentality is with that opportunity defines whether they are United players, because Pogba could get a bad injury again, or Pogba could play badly and get forced out of the team. You want players that are hungry. You know, Harry Maguire came straight into the team. Wan-Bissaka came straight into the team. Dan James went straight into the team. Bruno's gone straight into the team. We've got a good first 11. I think any signing shouldn't walk straight. No signing should walk straight into any team, unless they are world class or top class. But every signing should have to work for their spot, and I think this is the next stage for Manchester United. We're looking at building a squad. So some of these signings are going to have to start out on the bench and work their way in. I was very excited when Van Gaal bought all those players like Schneidlin and Schweinsteiger and Daley Blind, and because I was starting to see us building a squad. It didn't work, but I did start to see that. So hopefully that's going to happen again. Also got a little bit of a surprise for you. A lot of people have asked for this. Now you're going to get it. Never going to get it. The T-shirts have done very well this season in relation to Manchester United results. And we can reveal we've got a new one for you. It's out. The Martial one, the Rashford's there. Remember, these are all in different colours to this as well. We've got a Bruno, and now we've got a Greenwood. Let me show you. Here it is. Ships worldwide, link in the video description, or you can go through under YouTube now. My personal favourite one, I think the black one looks great. It's in burgundy as well, if you like that. It's in grey, which is very nice. It's in white, which is very nice. But this is the one I like the best. And you can get that brand new on the page. Shipping worldwide. Link in the video description. And there you go. Another one out for you. I look forward to wearing that one in the Europa League when he wins the tournament. So I've got quite a range to choose for games now. I'm trying to get as many as possible so that when they score, I've got the right T-shirt on. Sancho aside, I think specialist CDM is the most important signing, says Grant Puckett. Think we are screwed if Matic form dips. Good point. Pep doesn't get everything right. He wanted Sanchez as well, says Ashley Duncan. Yeah, but you know what? He wanted Harry Maguire. I think Alexis Sanchez at Manchester City might have done better than he did at Manchester United because he would have gone into a different system. Would I in a technical director position for Dortmund's Michael Zorg? How great would that be? The guy great with youth management and transfers, says Wayne Rooney. Remember, all I'm going to look. I've not spoken about a director of football this morning. And the reason I've not spoken about a director of football this morning is because we've been down this road so many times. I need new trainers. Like, it's a well-trodden path, and we never end up with one. United have done this 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years. We want a director of football. What happens? Everyone gets enthusiastic. Everyone gets excited. Then it gets forgotten. For me, it's just another PR spin story. Until they actually appoint a director of football who's good, then I don't believe it anymore. I'm not going to get excited about director of footballs. We desperately need one, but until they appoint one, I'm not going to get excited because they've led us down the garden path too many times. And look, we're in silly season where they want positivity and PR and clicks anyway, so I ain't going to believe it. I don't believe it. We didn't sign Bruno in the summer because Ollie wanted Maddison, not Bruno, not because of Ed. We need to improve European trust. That's not on Ed, that's on Ollie, says Cobb Ross Aitkins. Well, that's not true, Cobb. That's just an opinion. There's absolutely no factual evidence that that's the case. What there is factual evidence is that Manchester United scouted Bruno Fernandes relentlessly over 2 years, which is why I knew we were trying to sign him last summer and we dropped out because we didn't want to pay the price. And we nearly did pay a very big price for not doing that. James Maddison was never a realistic target for Manchester United. I think you're right in the sense that if Ollie had had a choice between Maddison and Bruno and both wanted to come and both fees had been agreed, he would have gone with the Maddison route. I do agree with you on that, so your point stands. But we were nowhere near getting Maddison last summer. We were close to getting Bruno and we pulled out. And we made a big mistake. And we were very lucky that we were able to go back in January. Imagine if he'd gone to Spurs. Do you think we need cover at right back? Delo goes. There's no proper right back. No one from youth set up as well. Is Aaron's from Norwich a possibility? Says Anup. I think in Fosu Mensah, we've got a good potential right back there. And in Delo, we've got a player that we can sell for about 20 million. So, yeah. Look, we've got Flex and KG at 1 o'clock. They'll be talking more about transfers as well. And then I'm back again at 8 o'clock tonight. I hope you have a good day. Remember the Greenwood t-shirts out. Links in the video description for that. Get one fast. I've not even got mine yet. And please smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Lots going on. Lots to talk about. Make sure you stay tuned to the United Stand. It's going to be a busy next 5 or 6 weeks before the football comes back. Europa League, transfer news. Fasten your seatbelts. Remember we've got third. Remember we've got Champions League football. And let's keep that positivity rolling. I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.